Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast. We have started off with giggles and moved to coughing, and it is that time of the week again. Happy Monday morning, unless you're Kelvin. Kelvin, happy noon on Friday, because that's when we wind up recording these things. Doesn't matter what time we start. It's always an hour and a half in when we actually start recording.
Here we go.
It's enough time to fill up a couple of cups with some kettle and fire bone broth. You know, really kick off your body and brain for the day. Delicious, hot, steaming soup or broth in your cup. And they want to give listeners of the JKWD podcast 10% off. So do this. Go to kettleandfire.com. Fill up your box, all the yummies. Use code BETTERHUMANHOOD at checkout for 10% off your order. That's kettleandfire.com, kettleandfire.com. Use code BETTERHUMANHOOD at checkout for 10% off. And now let's play the music.
Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
Hey, Kelvin, what's going on, man?
Wow, got to the good stuff early today, man. Let's play the music right away, right after the bone broth stuff, and I'm doing good, man. I'm sitting here at my desk. Got my head in my hand, looking at the screen, watching you do what you just did there, having a good time. It is 46 degrees outside my house, 58 degrees on my main floor. They're trying to make me turn on the heat, and I refuse.
Not yet. It's early.
I refuse. So about the time I go downstairs and there's ice on the thermostat, that'll be right about right. But I'm alive, I'm well, I'm happy, I'm having a good day, and I'm back on another podcast with you. And hey, it doesn't get a whole lot better, man.
Oh, that's good. We're cooling off here as well. And my allergies are having a hard time dealing with all the stuff dying outside. They get bad this time of year. They get bad in the spring. And oof, I woke up sneezing a couple of times last night. We got outside and I just had sneezing fit after sneezing fit. Got outside for a walk this morning. But here we are. We are going to try to make sure we hit that mute button every time we're going to sneeze or sniffle. And we're going to keep on. We're going to keep on.
That's what we do. How are you?
I'm good. I'm getting back to me. And it's a problem I've had all year. And I think that I see the road back. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. Because we were talking about you having to get that guy back. And I was like, I was struggling with that a lot this year too. So let's talk about that. The things I was missing about me. I don't want to say blocked creatively, but I know how to get by that. And getting by that is mostly about showing up. But what I wasn't doing was showing up creatively. I wasn't showing up writing. I was fighting the resistance, as Stephen Pressfield puts it. Capital R resistance. And you never quite come through that, right? You always got to go back and beat back that dragon every time it pops up.
Yes, sir.
But I have made it with intention. I've been beating back that dragon, and then you're gonna see some stuff on Medium before the end of the year, as I promised on a previous podcast. I got that stuff in better shape to go, and the other piece has been my health. Specific to exercise and diet, and I've really over the last month started to alter my diet. I'm down about 7 pounds over the last month,
Awesome.
which is just about enough to move from walking to running. Probably another week, just another pound or two. I don't want to do in my knees and end up just sitting in a chair. So,
Right.
I think I mentioned last week that my wife and I use Pacer as a step counter application, and we joined this challenge where it's only we signed up for the bottom level, which is 3,000 steps a day, but we've both been kind of shooting for 10,000 steps, and I think we're both averaging at least 10,000 steps a month, even if we don't hit it every day. We make up space on the we make up those steps here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I might do 20,000 one day and 7,000 the next, and that'll take care of my average.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that one. I'm going to have to check that out. I have my Fitbit, of course, which
right.
Oh, that's right. You stopped using that a while back, right?
Yeah, well, I
stopped using you.
Yeah, it stopped communicating with my phone, and so now I just use something that sits on my phone, which means, of course, that if I leave my phone on my desk, it doesn't get the steps.
Got it.
You gotta have it with you. But it does pick up. It does pick up that you're moving.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't have like a swing. So like I have a Garmin watch.
Mm-hmm.
It measures my steps, but if I'm pushing a stroller or a shopping cart or something and my wrist isn't moving, if my wrist isn't swinging with my body, with my walking stride, it doesn't pick up steps. So
interesting.
I might push a stroller for 3 miles.
Right.
But because my wrist isn't moving, the watch wasn't picking up the steps. But if you do stuff like that, the Pacer app does pick up those steps. It recognizes that you're walking.
Well, I have been very fortunate with my Fitbit app in that I actually kind of lost it for a while. It's because it's one of the originals. It's the one called One. It looks like well, I'm not going to say what it looks like, right? But it's just a little small bar, really. But it tracks a lot of stuff for its size. They don't make it anymore. I lost it for a while, and then when I found it, I couldn't find the charger for it. So I managed to grab a couple of chargers for it, and then I went to charge it back up, and it didn't look like it wanted to, but somewhere along the line it did. So. But it's cool. I just keep it in my pocket. So when I walk, when I go up and down the stairs, it just tracks that stuff for me. And so far, knocking on wood, it's doing all right. And hopefully it's going to stay that way because to replace it, I think I got to go to eBay and see if anybody's giving one away. And I haven't gotten some of the newer ones because I don't really want to wear something on my wrist.
Right. Well, they also have the Fitbit I was using that wasn't that it stopped communicating. It was one of those that you clip onto your belt or you toss in your pocket.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't on my wrist.
So anyway, I've been fortunate with that. So at least I know I'm walking. Well, and I know when I'm not. So
right.
I did something for myself when I got it, when I moved my office to the top floor of my house. I mean, I don't want that to sound like, like Trump Towers or nothing.
Right. You're not running.
Only on the second floor, but.
You're not running 20 flights up the tall tower?
No, I'm not. But sometimes I do, 5 or 6, because when I go downstairs to find something, I forget what it was I went to find. So I got to come back upstairs. And then I go, oh yeah, that's actually in the basement. And then it's 2 stories down. So, some days I'll have 2,000 steps and like 27 floors. So that counts for something.
All those steps are vertical, right?
Yeah. Crazy stuff. So, but at any rate, you were talking about, getting back to you, and I've had a similar challenge for a bit, not really quite sure where it's coming from. As being the Prince of Positive and all, I'm out in public all the time. I'm talking to people. I'm helping people feel better about themselves. But there's been something in me that hasn't been quite, that climber that I used to be, there's an obstacle. Oh, look, let me show you how you don't count in my life. Climb over it, blow it up, walk through the space where it used to be, that kind of thing. I seem to have misplaced that. And to be quite frankly, I miss it. So I'm going through a lot right now trying to figure out, number one, what happened to it. Now, I've had a lot of people say, we're just power through it. Tried that. Doesn't always just work. I mean, it might work for some people, but just going through it, because then you're going through it without the right connection. You don't really, so you're doing stuff that feels, I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? Fake. Yeah, that's it. You're moving, you're walking, but it's like, I'm not really feeling this. And I'm looking to reconnect with whatever that connection is that I don't have anymore. I still love doing this stuff. I like helping people figure out their lives better than most things in the world. And I'm still really, really good at that. But for my personal world, I'm just not that peak performer that I used to be. So, I'm not going to say I'm not the peak performer I used to be. I'm not performing at the peak I used to perform at. How's that?
Now, these obstacles, have the obstacles changed?
From a physical sense, probably not. I don't, no, it's not a physical thing. I mean, a couple of years ago, I had some surgery I had to get through.
Right.
That was bothersome, and that was in a personal area, but I forgot about that actually, but not really. I got through that just fine. Life is good. And as far as, most of life is concerned, I'm awesome. Probably am in better shape right now than I've been in a long time. I'm 171 pounds. Look, I remember the day when I was 228.
I've been there.
I look like the Pillsbury Dobro, man. If you'd have put me on a string, I'd have been floating over the stadium or something. But I got that. I'm in great health, active mind, just don't know. But I've been struggling with that. So it is my intention to get rid of that really quick.
Have you, let me ask, because, we talk a lot about this. If you're new to the podcast, typically what we do is Kelvin and I get on a call, and then an hour and a half later we start recording a podcast, and often we'll wind up recording about some of the stuff that we talked about. If we got a planning issue. We don't. That's
not a planning issue. Josh doesn't like scripted stuff.
Well, I don't like scripted stuff, but we can plan ahead. but we don't do it. So we were talking about this a little before we started recording, but what we didn't talk about is, has your why changed?
I don't think so. The original why might be shielded by some current circumstances, because we can get derailed by things that are happening in our life that we felt we couldn't control. And sometimes we could control, but didn't, no, basically my why has changed. And I'll tell you one thing. I've had I won't call it a bad habit, but a tendency to place more emphasis on what I do for other people than what I do for me. Mm-hmm. I wrote an article once that said, I'm a better friend to most people than they are to me. And before everybody got in an uproar, I said, I'm not bragging about that, but it seems to be that I have a greater capacity for things than a lot of people do. So when I've got bandwidth to help somebody else out with their stuff and get them through that, I do that, and most people don't have the bandwidth it takes to get me through mine. But I normally don't need it. And to some people that might sound kind of cocky, but it's not. I didn't mean it to be cocky at all. But I do notice that I teach people all the time. You got to take enough time out for you to get your stuff done.
Right, you get your own.
And I don't
first.
Right? I don't do as much of that. Focus on me stuff, and that's come out actually because I have a coach too. I have a life coach also, as well as being a life coach. Somebody told me once that if you were a life coach and didn't have a life coach, you were a fraud. So we're not going to do that.
Somebody's got to coach the coaches, right?
Yeah, somebody's got to coach the coaches. So we take care of that. So I'm working on that me piece, getting back to me piece. And, it may be at some point that I have connected, because, there's a lot of talk about money. There's a lot of talk about making money. There's a lot of talk about, I want to be rich and stuff like that. That's not typically something I've always said, but wealth is okay. Wealth can be your friend.
Yeah, it would be nice to have, but that can't be your driving force, right? That can't be
and there may be some connection with, am I being selfish? Because I do spend so much time working with other people and helping them through their stuff that maybe I caught somebody else's bug and stopped associating that accomplishment and with me with not helping somebody. We went through that in MKMMA,
right?
So the thing is that whole concept about put on your mask first.
Yep.
When the oxygen drops on the plane, put your mask on first, or otherwise you're not going to be.
Yeah, you're no good to help anybody else.
Right. You pass out, they're all screwed. So it may be a little of that I'm working with, but I believe I'm moving past it.
Good.
Because every day I still put up my vitamin K, and I'm just as sincere about that. The stuff I say is from my heart. I get thank yous every single day about, God, I needed to hear that, and sometimes one of those thank yous comes from me. I write myself going, oh man, I needed to say that again, and that kind of thing. But, so no, your original question was, did my why change? No, I don't think my why changed, but I may need to refocus it. I may need to just kind of dust off the lens I'm looking at it through and make sure what I'm looking at.
You good to share that why in public, or?
Not at this time.
Okay. That's fair.
Not at this time. I will say that an awful lot of my existence is helping other people. It started back. It started way back with a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. I think we've had that conversation before, by Maxwell Maltz, that started talking about the self-image, because there was a time I had no self-image. Well, I had one. It was all bad. And that book is the book that got me to start understanding the effect that, number one, there was a self-image, and the effect it actually has on us and the stuff we're doing, that got me started where I am. And then I started trying to help everybody self-image around the world, you know? So partly connected with that and helping other people. But, well, I said I wasn't comfortable talking about it in public, but what the heck, I'm here, right? It's just us. And I don't know, 80,000 other people. But I have an intense need to be authentic. I'm not a guy that wants to sit around and talk about this is how you do this, and if I'm not doing it. So if I hit a stumbling block, then suddenly I can't teach anymore because I'm feeling like, okay, you're just your basic run of the mill daily fake, and that's not the guy I am. So I need to be authentic. I need to be doing what I'm teaching. So
I tend to work stuff out in public. Like when I'm trying to figure something out, I start on the blog, and sometimes that moves to my podcast, but because I like to refer back, while I'm
back and forth. Yep.
Yeah. Just because if I said it, I might forget it, but if I wrote it down, I can always go back and look at it.
Right.
I tend to work that stuff out in public. So if I've got a stumbling block, I like to talk about it and then talk about how to get through it and teach myself along the way. So you hitting a stumbling block is not, you're not lying when you're telling people to do such and such. Even if you're having trouble doing it, sometimes you need to hear your message as badly or worse than other people need to hear it.
That is so true.
And if you're avoiding getting the message out because you don't feel like you're following it, then you're not going to hear it.
Say, you got any coaching clients you want to talk to soon? Get that smile off your hairy face. That is correct. And I'm putting things back into place. Good. I've been doing vitamin K right along. What I haven't been doing is Intensely Positive podcast. So, and I'm sure there's some confused people on that because I promised them at the beginning of the year 52 issues, and I have so far lied to them. Pardon me, I haven't lied to them, but based on my production, it's looking like perhaps I might be a little behind the curve I promised. Although I did recant a little further down and say, well, I'll just give you good stuff, but I haven't done that either. So I got to go back to one of those and just get it done. And I know this guy in Georgia who's probably going to help remind me that.
I got to do what I got to do.
Little ball-headed guy, yeah.
Yeah. Every morning I wake up and I see what's come through my podcast feed. So I have an idea what I got to listen to the next couple of days. And then sometimes I check
there, buddy.
Sometimes I check again at night. So I guess if I don't see you in the morning, I'll just know to text you. Hey, man.
Well, but it's free.
Here's my podcast. Here's my podcast feed for.
You don't have to pay by. You don't have to pay by the character anymore, right?
That's right. Here's a picture of my podcast feed. You're not in it. What's up?
Well, there you go. There you go, man. And I had somebody challenge me recently too, because I like money also. And I had someone challenge me, and they said, why would you possibly be putting that kind of time and effort into something like a podcast if it's not paying you money? And I'm like, you obviously don't know me.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
the thing is, it's not just the money, it's the message. And you know what? I've been delivering this message since I learned it. I've been coaching people since I was in high school. I wouldn't call them it that then. I just called it listening to my friends and helping them feel better.
Well, and look, it's not like there's not potential for income with the podcast.
Yeah, but it's not my. It didn't start out as my primary goal. My primary goal was getting the message out, letting people hear it, and I've got a nice following of people who like hearing the message, and it develops credibility if it doesn't fill my bank account right then. But eventually, I mean, it's what I was called to do, in my opinion. So I'm doing that. Now there are other people who are like getting really, really rich doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not them yet, but I still have enough people who have thanked me because I pulled them out of a hole they couldn't see how to get out of. And you know what? Money would have been nice, but that feeling was what I needed because I actually helped a human being. Now, do I have some other ways to help humans? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. But you got to get them out of where they are before you can get them to the next place they need to go. So,
right.
So that's where I am for that.
Back to the, why would you do it if it doesn't make you money? Well, sometimes it just feeds you. Exercise doesn't make me any money, but it sure helps me, make my day nicer. Meditation doesn't make me any money. Eating doesn't make me any money, but those are all things that fuel me. And it's the same for, spreading around help through a message, right?
Yep. And I do that. It's a good mess. Even when I have misspellings. Oh, I have.
Yeah, let's not talk about.
I have such a forgiving audience.
Let's not talk about today's vitamin K.
No. Oh, really?
Oh, God.
Oh, man. Really? Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
I gotta go look at that. That's painful because it was perfect when I let it go. I swear I looked at it 4 times. 4 times I looked at that sucker like, it's good. Apparently not. Okay. I quit.
No, you don't.
Maybe I'll republish it.
You gotta.
Thanks for the heads up, there, brother.
Yeah. You should quit bragging about your spelling to an editor.
I will go back.
That's what you should quit to.
Oh well. See, I keep trying to get A. Weber to put a spell check on there, but they're not listening to me.
Well, sometimes you spell words right, but it doesn't catch grammar and it doesn't catch punctuation. And
well, the grammar could be on purpose. I'm not looking at it, so I don't know which one was, but I'm guessing since you know my stuff pretty well. Yeah, well, I'll go look at it again. But tell you what, I promise to fix it before we put it in the book.
There we go.
All right, that's what I'm doing.
When's that book coming out? I guess we got to get a book by the end of 2020 then.
Funny you should mention. Or actually, you didn't. I did, but
yeah, you did mention.
Yeah, we'll work on. Yeah. You got a red light. You got a red light like beeping on your nose there. So
it's the microphone.
You got this. Yeah, you got this.
But I slid back into shadows.
Yeah, you got this robot look like I've got a bead on him. We're gonna take him out in a minute. No. Yeah, we'll talk about the book later. Okay. Again.
I feel like we've been talking about this book for years.
Couple of years, yeah. But I had it out once and I pulled it back. But it's a whole other conversation.
Anyway.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
So what are you going to do? Well, I'll start with me. Here's what I'm going to do over the next month or so. Mm. And if we remember, we can check in about the 1st of December, or Thanksgiving. Our Thanksgiving episode-ish. What I'm gonna do to keep getting back to me is I'm gonna keep publishing. I should have three long posts up on Medium during November. Maybe I'll get one out before the 1st of November.
In case you got people who are like me, tell them what Medium is, because I thought you were just...
Oh, yeah, no, Medium is it's a blog platform that's kind of morphed into... Yeah, it's got like magazines, like online magazines that they've divided it into. There's some premium content, but I think they decide on who gets the premium, who gets put up behind the firewall. I'm assuming I will not be, since I have like one post on Medium. My history, which is like 4 or 5 years ago when I just signed up for the service. So.
Oh wow, I didn't know it was out that long.
Yeah, it's been out a while. I think it was the guys from Twitter put it together, which makes sense, right? Because they got the short form and the long form now. And then, so I have I think those 3 posts should come out to about 20,000 words. So I'll get those out, and I'll be working on writing related stuff. And then I could have said the word content, but it means the same thing as stuff, I guess. I know that stuff
but it gives you a lot more flexibility,
I know that stuff is not a Toastmasters word, but
well, there is a bit of individuality in this stuff we can play with.
There you go. Into stuff.
Or poetic license, as we'd like to say. It might not be good grammar, but it might be good style. That's what I'm liking to say.
There we go. And then by the time this episode comes out, I hope to be back to running a few times a week. It won't be every day yet, but we get there. So those are the things that I'm going to do to get back to me. I'm still meditating every day. I might actually stop using the app to meditate and just sit in silence and not use the phone, which means that the streak on the app will go away, but I'll still be doing it. I try to get my 10 minutes in first thing when I wake up. So those are the things that I will do to get back to me. What will you do? What will your first steps toward getting back to you be?
I actually started meditating again recently. I had given that up, and when you bring that up, I have to do a kind of a retro look and find out what I stopped doing about the time this change happened to me. One of them was because for a while I was meditating daily. Some was guided, some were guided meditations, and others were just sitting there, and I was having some great meditations. About the time I was reading the book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. I love that book. I haven't finished it yet, but I got as far as I needed to, and it was doing wonderful things in my life. So maybe I need to go back and find those pages again. I will continue to write Vitamin K. If there are typos, let me know. I could have sworn last night was perfect. Oh well, but you know what? Go for the message, not necessarily the delivery vehicle. If there's a crack if there's a chip in the bottle, it's still good stuff, and I'll work on making that. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to, if I continue breathing, I'm going to do some more podcasts, because I haven't in a while, and it's about time. I don't want that nice following I have to think I died or something. So, and we'll do that.
Will you put a date on that first podcast episode or no?
Nah, okay. No, because you'll tie me to that.
Well, you're right.
I have.
Well, it might be worse. It might be worse for you if you don't, because I might just send you every day.
Is that podcast out yet? You'll see it when it shows up on your.
I know. I know. I'll see it.
How about within the next 2 weeks? How's that?
Okay. And I'll even give you the week bump, because this doesn't come out for a week and a half. So
true enough.
Yeah, we're recording on the
18th
today.
Today's the 18th.
Whatever day we're recording on. Today's the 18th, so this comes out the 28th. So it'll be by Veterans. By Veterans Day, you'll have one out. Okay.
I'll have it out by then. I'll have it out by the 28th.
Okay. I was going to give you that as a bump.
Nah, man. You know, the more flex I have, the sloppier it gets.
Right. So y'all can go over to Intensely Positive Podcast. You search your app for that if you're not subscribed, and you should see a new one in the feed by the time this comes. And
if you've never been there, there's some really good issues that, you know, up to, what are we up to, 72? Yeah, there's some really good stuff there now. So go ahead and grab those. They're good stuff. And I got some great interviews too. So
it's true.
So do that. So that's part of that. And there's some other stuff I got to do, but we'll leave that here for now.
So the big one, the big one. So you're going to be continuing to meditate and getting the podcast out and seeing how that feels again.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So we'll be doing that for sure.
So now we've got assigned action steps for us and an idea for y'all out there how to start getting back to you and go back and see what you stopped doing when you stopped feeling like you, and what you can do to go back and get it. So thank y'all for being here. Thanks for listening. Go get your 10% off at kettleandfire.com. Code BetterHumanhood at checkout. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye!
A Better Humanhood production.